Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, Senate Bill 696 deals with insurance, life insurance to be specific. It would modernize the life insurance regulation by revising the method used to calculate the amount of reserves that insurers must set aside to pay future claims. The current one-size-fits-all model works for simple traditional insurance products, but does not work. It does not accurately reflect the risk associated with some of the more modern insurance products that we have today. As a result, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners developed an updated method known as principle-based reserving to determine the appropriate reserve level based on sophisticated modeling and the particular insurer's product experience. This bill would allow insurers to use principle-based reserving for new life insurance policies and provide the Department of Insurance the resources it will need to review and oversee this new process. Senate Bill 696 has no opposition and was developed with the cooperation of the Department of Insurance and industry representatives. It has received unanimous support in the Insurance and Judiciary Committees. I would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Roth. Members, any debate or discussion? Seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Anderson. Bates. Anderson, aye. Bates. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Cannella. Aye. DeLeon. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Aye. Galgiani. Aye. Glazer. Paul. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Hill. Aye. Hueso. Huff. Aye. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Leno. Leyva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Morrell. Wynn. No. Nielsen. No. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Aye. Stone. Vidak. Wykowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye. Nielsen, note aye. Glazer, aye.
Secretary, call the absent members.
Hertzberg, aye. Allen. Aye. Bates. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Hueso. Lada. Leno. Morlock. Aye. Morrell. Aye. Stone. Aye. Vidak. Aye.
Ayes 36, noes 1. On the urgency, measure passes, excuse me. Great, thank you. Okay. We'll move to file item 149, Senator Wolk. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 707 by Senator Wolk, an act relating to firearms.
Senator Wolk.
Thank you. Members, I rarely bring gun legislation to the floor. When I do, it's when I enjoy strong support from law enforcement. You might be surprised to learn, as I was, that California's Gun-Free School Act, the law that prohibits firearms on any school, college, or university campus, has an exemption. It allows concealed weapons on campus for members of the public who have concealed weapons permits. In the words of the California police chiefs, this is a matter of great concern since the standards for granting a permit to an individual vary widely throughout the state. This would require them to get permission from campus authorities before bringing a concealed weapon on campus. And when I say campus, I mean not only K-12, I'm talking about higher education as well. It maintains the exemption for honorably retired law enforcement officers who carry a concealed weapon, who may carry a concealed firearm if authorized by their former agency and training is up to date and there's no misconduct. The bill allows for police chiefs or school districts, school boards to adopt their own policies. The bill has broad support from the law enforcement community, including the Police Chiefs Association, PORAC, and many, many others listed in your analysis. It's also supported by the education community, University of California, Cal State University, School Boards Association, Brady Campaign, and many others. This is not, in the words of the police chiefs and others who have written in support of this, it does not create an outright prohibition. The bill puts the control of firearms on campus grounds squarely where it belongs, with those public safety officials responsible for the safety of the students and staff on school and college campuses. 707 passed out of appropriations on a unanimous bipartisan vote, which I think we're about to lose, but I do ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Wolk. Senator Nielsen.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I'm going to urge a no vote. And I did vote yes in Appropriations Committee, but that ought not be considered an endorsement of compromising the Second Amendment. That was a vote based on the fiscal considerations and some amendments that I had reviewed. This is the essence of the bill. You're disarming individuals who rightly can go with a concealed weapons permit, not just onto a campus, but in the perimeters. One of my friends complained that he couldn't even take his kid to school. Now, let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, it is not those who have concealed weapons permits that commit these heinous crimes. Those folks don't bother with getting a concealed weapons permit, and they are not easy to secure in any county. The law enforcement professionals who grant these CCWs are very careful about it, for all good reasons. I look at this as poor public policy in terms of violating the Second Amendment rights of Americans, of Californians, of kind of shunning the amount of effort that they put forth to ensure that they have the training to be able to carry a weapon. And in fact, not good for public safety. Because again, it is not the law-abiding who go and commit these heinous crimes. In fact, if we want to dedicate our energies to stopping that, it's not going after the law-abiding and criminalizing them, but ensuring that the criminals remain the criminals that they are, instead of trying to give them sanctions that they're not bad people anymore, that they're rehabilitated and they ought to be released into our communities in a wholesale manner. That is our problem. If anything else, in face of that kind of an assault on our citizens' privacy, sanctity, and their public safety, we ought to be getting out more people to attain CCWs to protect their children. These heinous crimes, ladies and gentlemen, are continuing. No, it is not the law-abiding possessor of a concealed weapons permit takes their kids to school or goes on campus. And there are many instances where an individual on campus who did have a concealed weapon was able to deter a heinous act of crime. I urge a no vote.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen. We'll now move to Senator Bates, followed by Senator Morlock.
Thank you, Mr. President. I must concur with the comments from Senator Nielsen and also be changing my vote to oppose SB 707 today. While I'm very, very supportive of making our campuses as safe as they can be, amendments on this bill really didn't go far enough. They were taken between Public Safety Committee and Appropriations Committee that removed the restrictions on retired peace officers carrying on school grounds. Whereas I do believe the amendments make the bill slightly better, they really didn't go far enough. As the bill reads today, a parent dropping their child off at school would be breaking the law as they drive onto the school campus, even if they do not get out of their car. Additionally, I am concerned about the potential that the bill could threaten the ability of domestic violence victims who have CCW permits from being able to protect themselves when visiting or working on school campuses. And this is a particular issue with me because many of you know my sister was a victim of domestic violence at the hands of a gun. So Certainly, I am very supportive of the kind of measures that protect folks, but this one really puts many people in jeopardy if they have these issues in their life. For these reasons and the reasons stated by Senator Nielsen, I will oppose the measure today and ask my colleagues to do the same.
Thank you, Senator Bates. Senator Borlaug?
Thank you, Mr. President. In the same vein, we've had a couple of bills today where we were very concerned about the amount of crime and rape occurring on college campuses. And it just begs the question that maybe we need to relook at this issue with Senate Bill 695, which is a great bill we all voted for unanimously. But if some of our co-eds were carrying a concealed weapons permit on a college campus, maybe that might be a very strong way to curtail some of the nonsense that's going on. I think we need to reevaluate our position on this topic, and I'll be opposed to the bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Morlock. Members, any further discussion or debate? Senator Huff.
Question to the author.
Senator Wolk, are you comfortable?
Yes, of course.
Taking a question? Yes, please proceed. Senator Huff.
Senator, since this bill targets people who've gone through background checks, in many cases demonstrated proficiency and other things with firearms, so they've been granted the license to carry a concealed weapon by law enforcement, are you aware of any situations where such a licensed individual's caused a problem on a school campus?
As a matter of fact, I have a letter here from a elementary school, actually from a superintendent of schools, and this is the personal account of the school district on an elementary school. 18 months ago, an elementary school principal reported a citizen was on campus carrying a loaded concealed weapon. The citizen possessed a permit for the weapon, but was not affiliated with law enforcement. Remember, I have an exemption for that. The citizen professed his legal right to carry the gun on campus and avowed that in the event something happened on campus, he would, quote, be ready, unquote. The citizen admitted he was not familiar with, quote, the active shooter, unquote, and the other school safety protocols that had been worked with the staff. And he had no law enforcement training. Needless to say, this situation created grave concerns for the principal, the teaching staff, and the school district leadership. In order to respond appropriately, I sought legal counsel and was informed that current law restricts the school official's authority and provides an exception to the gun-free school zone law, expressly permitting a citizen holding a CCW to bring a firearm on campus. There is no change in 707, SB 707, to the 1,000-foot school safety zone with respect to any concealed weapon carrier.
Okay.
The issue is going on campus, and permission must be granted.
Thank you. And from what I just heard, there was no problem. There's a perception of a problem, and that's what often drives legislation here, but we ought to be about what the real problems are and the things that we should deal with. I think clearly we want to keep our campuses safe, but there are many instances where this one-size-fits-all causes disruptions. Some of them have been chronicled. We've heard no evidence of any problems on campus other than some disagreements between people permitted to carry in the school district, but certainly no violence problems. So perhaps this is an overreaction to something, and I would urge a no vote.
Thank you, Senator Huff. Members, any further debate or discussion? Seeing none, Senator Wolk, would you like to close?
Yes, thank you very much. This legislation was suggested and is supported by the school community, not only K-12, but the university, CSU, and the community college system, and also by law enforcement. As you can see on the analysis, the support from the law enforcement community is very, very broad. I think it's a wise piece of legislation, and it enables, again, the policies will be put in place by either the school boards or by the officials who are in charge of campus and public security. I ask for your aye vote.
Great. Thank you, Senator Wolk. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen? Anderson? No. Bates? No. Bell? Aye. Berryhill? No. Block? Aye. Cannella? De Leon. I. Fuller. No Gaines. No Galgiani. Glazer. I. Hall. I. Hancock. I. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Weso. Huff. No Jackson. I. Lada. Leno. I. Leyva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. I. Mendoza. I. Mitchell. I. Monning. I. Morlock. No Morrell. No Wynn. Nielsen. No Pan. I. Pavley. I. Roth. Runner. No Stone. Vidak. No Wachowski. I. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Secretary, call the absent members.
Allen. I. Canella. Galgiani. Weso. Lada. I. Wynn. Roth. Stone. No.
Ayes 23, noes 12. Measure passes. Moving on to file item 150, Senator Mendoza. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 708 by Senator Mendoza, an act relating to pupil nutrition.
Senator Mendoza.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, SB 708 will reduce the incidence of child hunger by establishing uniform standards for online school meal applications. SB 708 does not require schools to have an online application, but it does require them to follow certain guidelines if they do choose to have an online application. These guidelines include adding privacy protection, providing access to translated applications, providing clear instructions for homeless or migrant families, and providing links to connect families to other programs. This bill was supported unanimously in both policy and fiscal committees. SB 708 has no opposition. I would respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Mendoza. Members, any debate or discussion? Seeing none, members, would there be any objection to using our unanimous roll call? Yes, there is. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. I. Anderson. Bates. I. Bell. I. Berryhill. I. Block. I. Canella. I. De Leon. I. Fuller. I. Gaines.
Aye.
I. Galgiani. Glazer. Hall. I. Hancock. I. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Weso. Huff. I. Jackson. I. Lada. I. Leno. I. Leyva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. I. Mendoza. I. Mitchell. I. Monning. I. Morlock. I. Morrell. Wynn. I. Nielsen. I. Pan. I. Pavley. I. Roth. I. Runner. I. Stone. Vidak. I. Wachowski. I. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Secretary, call the absent members.
Anderson. I. Galgiani. I. Glazer. I. Weso. Morrell. Stone. Aye.
Ayes 38, no 0. Measure passes. Members, we'll move to file item 151. Senator Bates. Pass on file. File item 153. Senator Vidak. Pass on file. File item 154. Senator Mendoza. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 780 by Senator Mendoza, an act relating to state employees.
Senator Mendoza.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, SB 780 improves safety for patients and staff at state facilities by prohibiting state-employed psychiatric technicians and psychiatric technician assistants from being mandated to work overtime. Today, 92% of the state's hospitals patients are there on a forensic commitment. Placements in those facilities require committing an offense of a serious or violent nature. The staff working in these facilities must be on their toes, sharp, and alert at all times. Psychiatric technicians are the largest classification of direct level of care providers in state hospitals and face the highest volume of mandatory overtime. There are many cases where they are mandated on back-to-back days, effectively working 32 hours in a 2-day period. Working so many hours in such short time frame exhausts staff and reduces their alertness, creating potentially dangerous situations. SB 780 will ensure the safety of the staff working at our state's institutions by including a ban on the practice of using mandatory overtime for psychiatric technician and psychiatric technician assistants as a staffing tool, except in certain emergency circumstances. This bill has no opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Mendoza. Members, any debate or discussion? Senator Moorlach.
It's initiatives like this that make me wonder why the Fairview Developmental Center is costing $500 per patient per year. We've got to figure out a way to keep our costs down, and I'll be opposed to this bill.
Thank you, Senator Moorlach. Members, any further debate or discussion? Senator Anderson.
I have a quick question of the author.
Does the author accept the question? Sure. Yes. Proceed.
Why is it that there's so many mandated overtime hours? What's the holdup? What's the problem?
I believe that the department doesn't want to hire anybody. Last year, they spent $25 million in overtime. To hire the positions, fill in those positions, it costs $30 million, a difference of $5 million. They just don't want to hire people when we're stacking up high numbers as far as overtime costs.
And then as a quick follow-up, when we're talking about mandated overtime hours, how many hours per week are we talking about?
We'll take one example. I think at the CDCR bargaining unit number 18, they've actually worked 21,335 involuntary overtime hours last year.
Thank you.
That's one unit.
Thank you, Senator Anderson. Senator Leyva.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to thank the author for bringing this forward. This is a quality of life issue, not only for the employee, but the patients that they are caring for. More people just need to be hired. More psychiatric techs need to be hired. So I would urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Leyva. Members, any further discussion or debate? Senator Mendoza, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, again, this bill just addresses the mandatory overtime, not the overtime that many of these actual employees get to volunteer for. This is the one that's involuntary, that's mandated upon them. So respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. No. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Block. Aye. Canella. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Galgiani. Glazer. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Hill. Aye. Hueso. Huff. No. Jackson. Aye. Lada. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leyva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Moorlach. No. Morrell. No. Wynn. No. Nielsen. No. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Runner. No. Stone. Fidak. No. Wachowski. Aye. Wolk.
Secretary, please call absent members.
Berryhill. Canella. Galgiani. Glazer. Hertzberg. Hueso. Roth. Stone. No. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Ayes 22, noes 11, measure passes. Members, will move to file item 155, Committee on Health. Senator Hernandez. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 804 by the Committee on Health, an act relating to health.
Senator Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is the annual Health Committee's omnibus bill, which makes technical changes in addition to providing clarity to more substantive actions. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Members, any discussion or debate? Seeing none, members, would there be any objection to using our unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 39, noes 0, measure passes. We'll now move back to file item 67, Senator Leno.